Were you a part of that conversation as far as when recruiters were coming to look at him and his ultimate decision to go there?
Yeah, like I said, I coached 35 years and I really didn't have college players ever. And when they called me and talked to me, I just said, you know what, I'll be quite honest with you, I have no idea what it takes to play at your level. I go, but I will tell you this, at our level, he's Larry Bird.
This is my time. To the play, Scheierman, step back three, bang!
Baylor Scheierman now has a new Creighton record.
Scheierman drives inside, hits the bucket, and the foul. They know they can't give this guy any space. That's all he needs.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the spot we moved to when I was 12, kind of where I obviously always had a love for the game from an early age, but this is where this is where I was at when I really decided like I really wanted to pursue basketball and like really go after it with like my whole heart. And this is kind of where it all started in a sense. We had a basketball hoop that sat right here, and me and my dad and my little brother would be out here for hours. The corn used to, when it grows, you can't even see the house from the road, and so it kind of like you're boxed into your own little world in here. And that's kind of how I felt when I was hooping out here, like I was in my own little world and I could like dream I was playing in Madison Square Garden, or dream I was, playing in the NBA. And obviously now, coming up on draft day, it's kind of turning into a reality, which is crazy to think about, but man, just a lot of memories here, a lot of memories here.
I mean, he was just your guy who was a lovable, sports-loving, ball-playing young guy, And so, he was a guy who was just very athletically, could swim at a young age underwater, jump off boards, do flips. He was a guy you just wanted to be around. I mean, kids just kind of drew to him,
We homeschooled for a while. And I tried the stations with puzzles and Legos and never about building. It was always a ball, always moving, and really developed quickly.
That's one of the things I always tell the pro scouts when they call is at Aurora, as a freshman, you weren't good enough to play at the high school level.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, he was one of the best players in the state.
Yeah.
And not that well recruited.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, he was the #1
recruit in the transfer portal.
The biggest catch in the transfer portal in the history up to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. To me, he's still getting better.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what the next 3 years is going to bring.
Yeah.
I mean, if he keeps going, and it sounds like he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he did enter the portal, the floodgates opened up, and so we had a week of sitting down and listening to Zoom calls from coaches and staff of universities about what they could do. But really, Baylor did a great job of finding his strong points of what a program could do for him and how he could fit into it. And really, when the discussion came to what he wanted to do, he had pretty well cut and dried it.
But he, like Scott said, he did his homework, and he knows the kind of coach he thrives under. And so he watches a lot of basketball, and he sees these coaches on the sidelines, and he's like, he knew what he was looking for. And Coach Mack was definitely the kind of coach he was looking to play under.
Baylor was in the middle of the draft process at that time, and he was really focused. I think in his mind, his preference was to stay in the draft if things would have went well. And, he went to the combine. I think the G League combine, I don't think it was necessarily great. Didn't really fit his game, those kind of games. So he recognized that, there's things I need to improve on, things I have to get better at. And, we had a situation at Creighton that particular year where we had every starter back except for that position. So I think he saw it as an opportunity. All right, I can go home. My family can continue to watch me play, and I can be the addition on a team that has a chance to be really, really special, really good. And he and I hit it off from the start, so that made it really simple.
So today, about to go get some breakfast, and then we have a lift with Jeremy Anderson, who's our strength coach at Creighton. He's really been a big part of me growing in my body. You know, that's something that the NBA teams talk about a lot with me, is just the growth they've seen in my body over the last 2 years, and a lot of that is credit to him and the work he does, and especially for me.
That first year was trying to figure out, hey, what does he need to work on? How do we kind of go about that? And he was all the way bought in, I think, after that first year of, hey, there's things that I can do to improve as a player, physically. How can I finish vertically better at the rim? How can I embrace the physicality more? How can I guard someone laterally better? And then as we kind of went into that year 2, he was so bought into that just because of what he'd been through as a player. I mean, he'd already been Summit League Player of the Year getting here, and then going through the first year of that Big East, I think he found out what he really needed to work on. And then going into that second year, I don't think you'd find someone who was more motivated to go through that. And so then as we kind of went through that evolution of kind of our relationship, it's, hey, you know what we need to work on, this is what you got to do. And it's a credit to Baylor in terms of just how he approached everything, of him being able to work through that and get to where he's at.
And where he was at physically, it's not even close to where he is now. I mean, you can feel it, like when you go by somebody or when they're guarding you, and you give them a little bump, and they kind of they feel it, you know? That's how he was in November of his first year getting here. Fast forward, I mean, now when you're playing against him, I was on red team a little bit, like you try and go by him, and that resistance it's a whole lot different. Like you start to feel him, and you're like, and then you start to get rid of it, because, I mean, he can do those things because of the physicality and the development that he put himself through those 2-3 months of that summer, of that off season. And you're starting to see it, and he's going to benefit. It's going to pay dividends down the road. It's going to pay dividends hopefully at the end of June and moving forward. But I mean, his development and all that, even like his attitude and his mind and his approach to the game from when I got here in August to now, I mean, it's taken a huge leap, and I think that's going to benefit him in the next level.
All right, well, we got the stretch run coming up here, so I mean, everything is going literally exactly perfectly the way we would have hoped at this point. And now I want to get your mind right back to where it was coming to Combine, and these first few workouts you went through, and just go at this thing with a big chip on the shoulder, and we're going to go attack it. You know what I mean? We got to keep this momentum going, and you know, nothing's guaranteed in terms of what's going to happen draft night. We got to go take this thing. That's exactly what you've done in Combine, these workouts. We've got it the next 2 weeks, the same thing, and finish it off.
Yes. Yeah, I hear you.
Make sure that chip is as big as ever, you know?
It doesn't really leave, you know what I mean?
That's what I like to hear. That's perfect. Beautiful.
Hey, for some people it's the 4th of July. For some people it's Christmas Day. For some it's even their birthday. But for Ravi Lula, it's draft day. The greatest day of the year for you? It's
Man,
the NBA.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see where our guy, Creighton guard Baylor Scheierman's going to go. There's some good fits for him.
Baylor Scheierman in the NBA draft.
Gotta love it. Can't wait.
I'll probably be a little nervous. I know I said I am at peace with everything that's happened, and I feel like I'm in a good spot. I'm sure I'll be a little nervous, anxious. I mean, it's just crazy how far we've come on this journey, starting like we were talking about with Aurora, and then South Dakota State, and now here, and it's just crazy to think about.
I hope and pray that he's going to always stay the innocent guy that we know, and always has his priorities straight.
He pushed himself at a different level, and he's in this position now because he believed in himself, yet he went to work and made it happen. And you know, those of us on the sidelines just got to enjoy the ride.
Just incredibly proud of his approach, how he's grown, how he's handled himself, and man, I just can't wait to watch him as he kind of goes through these next steps.
Yeah, so obviously been talking with my agent recently. Sounds like Denver and Utah are both pretty interested. Utah might trade some picks, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty fluid right now. Obviously, that was only pick 3, so we got a long ways to go. So it's pretty dry right now, but that's to be expected.
For any player that gets an opportunity to play for the greatest franchise in the NBA, that's the Boston Celtics. They won more championships.
Gotta take
It's a loaded roster that they have. They all your
Mom. Let's go. Let's go, Bo.
With the 30th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Baylor Scheierman from Creighton University.
I don't know what the future holds for me. I just know that I'm in the NBA and I'm excited to get to work.
I will fight for I can feel the weight of a heavy wall.